Hey guys, my name is Rollen and I've got something a little different for you today. Essentially, this is an analysis, a sort of look into the history of our subject. As the title may suggest, these are some facts, behind the scenes bits, and in general interesting things I've discovered about this particular movie. We're going to be taking a look into the classic horror film Poltergeist. So, without further ado, let's dig it up. The scene where Mrs. Freeling is going through the kitchen and turns to find the chairs around the dining room table stacked up was done in one take. Crew members had to rush to take away the chairs already at the table and replace them with pre-stacked chairs on the table when the camera was aimed away from the dining room. The scene where Robbie is being eaten alive by the possessed tree outside his window was filmed in reverse. That way it looked better when the footage was reversed. The scene where Marty has a meltdown, literally, was obviously done with a fake bust of the actor Martin Casella. It was decided that special effects makeup couldn't simply be put on Casella, it just wouldn't look right. And the hands you see ripping the skin and flesh off the face are actually Spielberg's own. That's because everyone, including Casella, was a little nervous with this being a one-shot take, given that the prop was pretty expensive. So there you go, let Steven Spielberg do it. That way if anything goes wrong, it's his fault. The house that you see practically explode in the last part of the movie is actually a model. It took the crew 4 months to build this 6-foot wide version of the house, and how they ultimately destroyed the house was by using a bunch of cables attached to the walls, and a super-powered vacuum right under the model. In total, it took about 6 months to make the one moment look just right, and Spielberg has bits of the house displayed in his own house on his piano. Speaking of the house, the scene in which Diane Freeling is pulled by some unseen force along the walls and ceiling was done with the use of a rotating set and a static camera. Actress JoBeth Williams had to time her rolling and flailing movements with the positioning of the whole room itself. The moment in which Mrs. Freeling falls into a pool of muddy water with a bunch of dead people is a lot creepier than you may think. Apparently, those skeletons were 100% real. Why? Because they're cheaper than realistic-looking fake ones. JoBeth Williams had found out about this when one of the makeup artists mentioned exactly this. The sign at the Holiday Inn that the Freelings flee to shows an act from Dr. Fantasy and Friends. This is actually a magic show that the producer Frank Marshall would perform. Sometimes he even did some magic for the crew. And we're totally going to ignore how that sounds like a porn name. One inspiration for Poltergeist came from the very real park here in Colorado called Cheeseman Park. There are a number of stories surrounding the park, but the most popular one is also very similar to what happens in the movie. There are several bodies buried in various places in the park, simply because they were supposed to be moved, but only the headstones were relocated. Another instance that likely inspired the story told in this movie was from Agora Hills. During the construction of a supermarket, an Indian burial ground was discovered in 1969. 12 years later, it was the location where Poltergeist was filmed. Steven Spielberg had asked Stephen King to write the script for the movie, but this didn't happen for one reason or another. It's believed that it was because Mr. King's publisher, Doubleday, wanted too much money for it. People are still very confused over whether it was Spielberg or Hooper who directed the movie. The truth is that Spielberg was contractually forbidden to direct this film himself, because he was already working on E.T. So technically, Hooper was the official director, and Spielberg was always on set as executive producer. Drew Barrymore had auditioned for the role of Carol Ann when she was 6, but Spielberg decided that Heather O'Rourke was better suited for the part. But that's okay because Barrymore was chosen for E.T. in the end. It's rumored that Zelda Rubinstein saw a vision of her dog saying goodbye, and later that day her dog had actually died. JoBeth Williams experienced some paranormal activity off set as well. At one point, she came home to find pictures hung on her wall crooked. She fixed them only to find that they were once again crooked a few minutes later. The film was actually rated R, but Spielberg fought this, saying that he only made PG movies. The PG-13 rating didn't exist around the time of the film's production. Something that a lot of people find to be most notable about not only this movie but its sequels is the concept of it all being cursed. The reason for this belief had several different factors. A good start to getting your film cursed is to have actual skeletons in the swimming pool. Oliver Robbins was legitimately being strangled by that clown puppet because it malfunctioned. Another element is what you didn't see on screen involving some of the actors. Heather O'Rourke died at the age of 12 due to septic shock and cardiac arrest, before the third film of the trilogy was released. Dominic Dunn was murdered by her ex-boyfriend when she ended her abusive relationship with him. This happened just a few months after the first movie was released. Will Sampson, who would be brought in to bless the set on occasion, passed away after a heart and lung transplant 1 year after the first sequel was released. There's also the death of Julian Beck, but he was aware that he had stomach cancer when he took the role of Cain, so maybe not so much involved in the curse. And of course Zelda Rubinstein, who died of natural causes in 2010. Again, likely not caused by a curse of any kind. So those were some facts about Poltergeist that you might not have known. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like to let me know that you want to see more. And leave a comment down below telling me what other movies you'd like to see me dig up some facts about. Also, don't forget to share this video to help the channel grow and subscribe for more videos like this. See you later.